The snow fell like tiny whispers outside the coffee shop windows. Inside, the smell of fresh bread and warm chocolate filled the air. Maya Johnson wiped down table number 7 for the 3rd time that morning. Her hands were tired, but she kept smiling. That's what waitresses do. "More coffee here," shouted a woman in a fancy coat. "Coming right away?" Maya said softly. She had been working at Reed's Coffee House for 2 years. Every morning started the same way. Wake up at 5, walk through the cold streets, put on the brown apron with the coffee cup stitched on the pocket, smile even when her feet hurt. But this morning felt different. The bell above the door jingled. An old man stepped inside. His coat was torn at the shoulders. His shoes had holes that let the snow touch his socks. His face was wrinkled like an old map, with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories. He stood near the entrance, looking around slowly. Water dripped from his coat onto the clean floor. Christopher, the manager, looked up from behind the counter. His face turned red. He marched toward the old man, like a soldier going to battle. "Excuse me," Christopher said loudly. Everyone in the shop turned to look. "We don't serve tramps here." Maya's heart squeezed tight in her chest. The old man didn't move. He just stood there, his hands shaking slightly. "I have money," the old man said quietly. His voice was gentle, like wind through leaves. "I don't care," Christopher snapped. "Look at you. You're dripping water everywhere. You'll scare away my real customers." Maya felt something hot rise in her throat. It wasn't anger exactly. It was something stronger, something that made her feet move before her brain could tell them to stop. She walked straight toward Christopher and the old man. "Christopher," she said, her voice steady. "He's a customer, just like everyone else." Christopher turned to her. His eyes narrowed. "Maya, this doesn't concern you. Get back to work." The whole coffee shop had gone silent. Even the fancy woman who wanted more coffee had stopped talking. Everyone was watching. Maya looked at the old man. His eyes met hers. In that moment, she saw something that made her chest ache. She saw her own grandfather, who had died when she was small. She saw every person who had ever been treated like they didn't matter. "How much is coffee?" the old man asked. $3.50, Christopher said coldly. Maya reached into her apron pocket. She pulled out a small bundle of bills, her tip money from yesterday. She counted out $4 and placed them on the counter. "His coffee is paid for," she said, "and he can sit wherever he wants." Christopher's face turned from red to purple. "You just wasted your own money on this human being." Maya finished. "Yes, I did." The old man's eyes filled with tears. He blinked them away quickly. "Thank you, young lady," he whispered. Maya led him to a table by the window. She brought him the biggest cup of coffee they had. She also brought him 2 pieces of banana bread that she was supposed to eat for her own lunch. "You didn't have to do that," the old man said. "Yes, I did," Maya replied, as she walked away. She heard Christopher hiss at her. "You're going to regret this, Maya. I'm writing you up. This isn't how we do things here." Maya's hands trembled as she picked up her cleaning cloth. She had just used almost all her tip money. She needed that money for her mother's medicine. But somehow, giving that coffee to the old man had felt more important than anything else in the world. The old man sat by the window for an hour. He sipped his coffee slowly, like each drop was precious. He ate the banana bread in tiny bites. Sometimes he looked out at the falling snow. Sometimes he looked at Maya. When he finally stood to leave, he walked over to her. From his torn coat pocket, he pulled out a small white card. He placed it in her hand. "You have a kind heart," he said. "That's rarer than you think. Rarer than gold. Rarer than anything." Before Maya could say anything, he was gone. The bell jingled. The snow swallowed him up. Maya looked down at the card. It was thick and expensive feeling. On it was printed a single phone number. Nothing else. No name. No address. Just numbers in elegant gold ink. "What's that?" asked Sarah, another waitress. "I don't know," Maya said. Christopher stormed over. "Let me see that." Maya closed her hand around the card. "It's mine." You're still getting written up? Christopher snarled. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You made me look bad. You made yourself look bad, Maya said quietly. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the old man. She kept thinking about his torn coat and his gentle voice. She kept thinking about the card with the gold numbers. Who was he? Why did he give her that card? And why did Christopher's face look so scared when the old man smiled at her before leaving? Something had started today. Something bigger than coffee. Something bigger than a small act of kindness. Maya didn't know it yet, but that moment, that $4 and a cup of coffee, had just changed her entire life. Outside her window, the snow kept falling. And somewhere in the city, an old man in a torn coat sat in a beautiful office, making a phone call. I found her, he said into the phone. I found someone who still remembers what kindness means. Now we begin the real work. 3 days passed. Maya kept the mysterious card in her pocket. She touched it sometimes during her shifts, feeling the smooth surface, wondering if she should call number. Christopher was meaner than ever. He made Maya clean the bathrooms twice each day. He gave her the worst tables, the ones where people never left tips. He watched her like a hawk watches a mouse. You think you're special? He muttered when no one else could hear. You're just a waitress. Nothing more. Maya said nothing. She just kept working. On Thursday morning, a letter arrived at her apartment. It was in a cream-colored envelope, thick and fancy. Maya's name was written in beautiful handwriting on the front. Her mother was sitting at the kitchen table, coughing into a tissue. What's that, baby? I don't know, Mama, Maya said. She opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a letter. Maya read it out loud, her voice shaking. Dear Miss Johnson, my name is Edward Thornton. You showed me kindness when others showed me cruelty. You gave freely when you had little to give. That is the mark of true character. I must speak with you about a matter of great importance, one that concerns your family's history. Please call the number on the card I gave you. What you learn may change everything you thought you knew about yourself. Time is precious. Please call soon. With respect, Edward Thornton. Maya's hands trembled. Thornton, she whispered. Why does that name sound familiar? Her mother's eyes went wide. Edward Thornton? Baby. That's the richest man in the whole state. Maybe in the whole country. He owns hotels and restaurants and everything. Maya felt dizzy. The old man in the torn coat was a billionaire? Why would someone like that care about me? Maya asked. Her mother reached across the table and took Maya's hand. Maybe you should call him and find out. That afternoon, Maya sat on her bed and dialed a number. Her heart beat so loud she could hear in her ears. A woman's voice answered. Mr. Thornton's office. This is Maya Johnson. I got a letter. Miss Johnson, the woman interrupted, suddenly warm. Mr. Thornton has been waiting for your call. Please hold. Music played for just a few seconds. Then a familiar voice came through the phone. The old man's voice. Miss Johnson, thank you for calling. Mr. Thornton? You're really that Edward Thornton? The billionaire? He chuckled softly. Wealth is just paper and numbers, child. What matters is what we do with it. Can you meet me tomorrow? I have something to show you. Something about your family. My family? Your great-great-grandfather, Samuel Johnson. Do you know that name? Maya's breath caught. My mama told me stories. He lived a long time ago. He worked hard and dreamed big, but that's all I know. There's much more to the story, Edward said. Much more that was taken from your family. Stolen, to be exact. I need you to come to the Alexander Hotel tomorrow at noon. Come to the presidential suite. What I'm about to show you will be difficult to believe. Maya's mind spun. I work tomorrow. My shift. Take the day off, Edward said gently. This is more important than any shift. This is about justice. This is about truth. The next day, Maya stood outside the Alexander Hotel. It was the fanciest building in town, with golden doors and doormen in perfect uniforms. She had walked past 1,000 times but never gone inside. A doorman smiled at her. Miss Johnson? Mr. Thornton is expecting you. They knew her name. They were expecting her. Maya rode the elevator to the top floor. Her reflection stared back at her from the shiny walls. She looked small in her simple dress and worn shoes. The elevator doors opened. Edward Thornton stood waiting. He wore an expensive suit now, but his eyes were the same, kind and sad and wise. "Come in, Maya," he said. The suite was bigger than Maya's entire apartment. Windows showed the whole city below, but Maya barely noticed the fancy furniture or the paintings on the walls. She noticed the table covered in old papers. "Sit down," Edward said gently. "What I'm about to tell you will hurt, but it's the truth, and the truth matters more than comfort." Maya sat. Edward spread papers across the table. Old photographs, documents with yellow edges, a contract with faded ink. In 1932, Edward began, "Your great-great-grandfather Samuel Johnson owned a coffee shop right here in this town. He built it with his own hands. It was called Johnson's Coffee House. It was beautiful, successful. Black and white people both came there, which was dangerous in those days." Maya leaned forward, staring at a photograph. A handsome black man stood in front of a coffee shop. The sign above the door read, "Johnson's Coffee House." "That's him," Maya whispered. "That's Samuel," Edward confirmed. "And this," he pointed to the building in the photo, "is the same building where you work now. Reed's Coffee House used to be Johnson's Coffee House." Maya's heart stopped. "What?" Edward's face grew hard. "A white man named Thomas Reed wanted that property. Samuel wouldn't sell. So Reed did something evil. He used fake documents. He bribed a judge. He forced Samuel to sign papers that Samuel couldn't even read properly. In 1932, Reed stole that coffee shop from your family." "No," Maya breathed. "That can't be true." Edward pushed the document toward her. "This is the original contract. See the signature? That's not Samuel's real signature. It's a forgery. And this date here? The document says Samuel sold the property willingly. But I have proof he was threatened. I have proof his family was in danger if he didn't sign." Tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. "Why? Why would someone do that?" "Because Samuel was black," Edward said quietly. "Because in those days, some people believed black folks didn't deserve to own anything beautiful, anything successful. They took what wasn't theirs and called it legal." Maya looked at the old photographs spread across the table. Samuel standing proud in front of his shop. Samuel serving coffee to customers. Samuel's children, one of them was Maya's great-grandmother, playing outside the shop. "All these years," Maya whispered, "all these years I've been serving coffee in my own family's stolen shop, and nobody knew." "I knew," Edward said. "I've been investigating this for months. I test people sometimes. Maya, I dress in rags and see how they treat me. Most people fail that test. They show me cruelty. They show me greed. But you showed me kindness. And when I learned your last name was Johnson, I started digging deeper. That's when I found all of this. Why do you care?" Maya asked. Edward's eyes grew distant. "Because my grandfather once stole land from a poor family. I found out years later. I spent millions trying to make it right. I can't undo every wrong in this world, but I can help undo this one. If you'll let me." Maya's hands shook as she touched the old photograph of Samuel. "What do we do?" Edward smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was a warrior's smile. "We take back what's yours," he said. "We expose the truth. We make Reed's Coffee House answer for what the Reed family did. And we make sure everyone knows that Samuel Johnson was a brilliant man who built something beautiful, and that his great-great-granddaughter is going to restore his legacy." Maya looked up at Edward. "How?" "Leave that to me," Edward said. "But I need you to be brave. I need you to stand up in front of cameras and lawyers and angry people. I need you to tell your story. Can you do that?" Maya thought of her mother coughing at the kitchen table. She thought of Christopher's cruel words. She thought of Samuel Johnson, forced to give up his dream because of the color of his skin. "Yes," Maya said, "I can do that." Edward nodded. "Good, because tomorrow we go to war. A war for truth. And Miss Maya Johnson, you're about to become the most important person in this town. The Alexander Hotel ballroom was packed. News cameras lined the back wall. Lawyers in expensive suits whispered each other. Maya recognized people from town, the baker, the librarian, even some customers from the coffee shop. And there, in the third row, sat Christopher. His face was pale. His hands gripped the armrest of his chair. Maya stood backstage, her heart pounding like a drum. She wore a simple blue dress that Edward had bought for her. Her mother sat in the front row, tissue in hand, already crying. Edward stood beside Maya. "Remember," he said softly, "you're not just speaking for yourself. You're speaking for Samuel. For every person whose dreams were stolen. Are you ready?" Maya nodded, even though her knees felt like water. The lights dimmed. A screen lowered from the ceiling. Edward walked onto stage. Every phone in the room turned toward him. Cameras flashed. "Good afternoon," Edward began. His voice was strong and clear. "My name is Edward Thornton. Some of you know me as a businessman. But today, I stand before you as a witness to injustice. Today, I'm here to tell you a story that this town has kept buried for 93 years. The room went silent. Edward pressed a button. The screen lit up with a photograph of Samuel Johnson standing in front of his coffee shop. People gasped. This man's name was Samuel Johnson. Edward continued. In 1925, he built a coffee shop with his bare hands. He saved every penny. He worked day and night. By 1930, Johnson's Coffee House was the most popular gathering place in town. Black and white customers both came through his doors. He treated everyone with dignity. Another photo appeared. Samuel serving coffee to a white family, everyone smiling. But in 1932, something terrible happened. Edward said. His voice grew hard. A man named Thomas Reed wanted that property. Samuel refused to sell. So Reed did the unthinkable. He created fake documents. He bribed a corrupt judge. He threatened Samuel's family. And he forced Samuel to sign papers transferring ownership of the coffee shop for almost nothing. The screen showed the forged contract. Red circles highlighted the fake signature, highlighted the impossible date, highlighted the bribed judge's name. Whispers filled the room. Someone shouted, "That's impossible." "It's not impossible," Edward said coldly. "It happened, and the building that was stolen from Samuel Johnson is still standing. You all know it. You've all been inside it. It's called Reed's Coffee House, and it's been operating on stolen land for 93 years. The room exploded. Everyone started talking at once. Cameras flashed like lightning. Christopher tried to stand up, but a security guard motioned for him to sit back down. Edward raised his hand. Silence fell again. "There's more," he said. "I'd like to invite someone to the stage. A young woman who works at that stolen coffee shop. A young woman who showed me kindness when others showed me cruelty. A young woman who is Samuel Johnson's great-great-granddaughter. Please welcome Miss Maya Johnson." Maya's legs carried her onto the stage. The lights were so bright. So many eyes watching. Her mother sobbed in the front row, hand over her mouth. Maya stood at the microphone. Her voice came out small at first. "My name is Maya Johnson. Until 3 days ago, I didn't know my family's history. I didn't know my great-great-grandfather built something beautiful. I didn't know it was stolen from him." She took a deep breath. Her voice grew stronger. "I've worked at Reed's Coffee House for 2 years. I've scrubbed floors. I've served coffee. I've been treated like I'm invisible, like I don't matter. The manager, Christopher, he told a homeless man that we don't serve tramps." He was talking about Mr. Thornton here. He didn't know who he was talking to. He just saw someone who looked poor and decided they weren't worth serving. Maya pointed to Christopher. Every camera turned toward him. He shrank in his seat. "That's how my great-great-grandfather was treated," Maya continued, tears streaming down her face. "He built something from nothing. He worked harder than anyone, and because of the color of his skin, it was taken away. His dream was stolen. His family's future was stolen. And for 93 years, nobody said anything. Nobody cared." The room was absolutely silent now. Not even a cough. Not even a whisper. "But I care," Maya said, her voice ringing out. "And Mr. Thornton cares. And I think all of you should care too. Because if this could happen to my family, it could happen to anyone. Justice isn't just about laws. It's about making things right. It's about telling the truth, even when the truth is ugly." Edward stepped forward. "I have here legal documents prepared by the finest lawyers in the state. These documents prove that the transfer of property in 1932 was illegal. They prove fraud. They prove theft. And they outline our demands." A lawyer in the front row stood up. "What demands?" Edward's eyes were like steel. "First, the Reed family and the company that now owns Reed's Coffee House must publicly acknowledge that the property was stolen. Second, they must transfer full ownership to the Johnson family, specifically to Miss Maya Johnson and her mother. Third, they must pay compensation for 93 years of stolen profits. And fourth, they must fund a museum exhibit inside the coffee shop telling Samuel Johnson's true story." Another man jumped up. He wore an expensive suit. "I'm the CEO of Reed Hospitality Group, which owns the coffee shop. This is outrageous. You can't just—" "I can," Edward interrupted. "And I will. I have documents. I have witnesses. I have proof. You can fight me in court for years, spending millions of dollars, and you will lose. Or you can do the right thing today. Which will it be?" The CEO's face turned red. He looked at his lawyers. They whispered urgently. Finally he spoke. We need to review the evidence." "You have 1 week," Edward said. "After that, every newspaper, every news station, every social media platform will hear this story. The whole world will know that Reed's Coffee House is built on stolen land. Do you really want that?" The CEO sat down heavily. Christopher suddenly stood up. "This is ridiculous. Maya is just a waitress. She's nobody. She is somebody," Edward thundered. His voice filled the whole room. "She is Samuel Johnson's heir. She is the rightful owner of that property. And you, Christopher, are finished. I've been documenting how you treat your employees, how you treat customers, how you treat anyone you think is beneath you. By the end of the day, you will no longer work at Reed's Coffee House." Christopher's face went white. He stumbled toward the exit. Cameras followed him. He pushed past reporters, covering his face with his hands. Maya watched him go. She didn't feel happy. She didn't feel victorious. She just felt tired and sad. Sad for all the years lost. Sad for Samuel. Sad for everyone who had ever been treated as less than human. Edward put his hand on her shoulder. "You did beautifully," he whispered. The CEO approached the stage. He looked defeated. "Miss Johnson," he said quietly, "on behalf of Reed Hospitality Group, I apologize. If your evidence is accurate, and it appears to be, then a terrible wrong was committed. We will cooperate fully with the investigation, and we will make this right." The room erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Maya's mother rushed onto the stage, wrapping Maya in her arms. They held each other and cried. Tears of sadness for what was lost, and tears of joy for what was finally found. 3 months later, Maya stood in front of the coffee shop. The old sign had been removed. A new sign hung above the door, carved from beautiful wood. Johnson's Coffee House, restored 2025. Below it, a smaller sign read, "Originally founded by Samuel Johnson, 1925. Inside, everything had changed. One wall was now covered with photographs of Samuel. His story was printed on elegant plaques. Customers could read about him while they drank their coffee. They could see his dreams. They could learn his name. The coffee shop was busier than ever. People came from all over the state to see it, to taste coffee in a place where justice had finally won. Maya didn't work as a waitress anymore. She was the owner now. Her mother worked beside her, healthier now that they could afford good medicine. They had hired kind people to work there, people who treated every customer with dignity, whether they wore expensive suits or torn coats. Edward visited every Thursday. He always ordered the same thing, 1 cup of black coffee, and 2 pieces of banana bread. Still the best coffee in town, he always said with a smile. Christopher had moved to another city. The CEO had resigned in shame. The Reed family had issued public apologies. And the compensation money had funded the Johnson Foundation, a program that helped young people learn hospitality skills and start their own businesses. On this particular morning, as Maya poured coffee for a customer, she noticed an old woman entering the shop. The woman wore old clothes and carried worn bags. She looked nervous. Maya walked over immediately. "Good morning," she said warmly. "Welcome to Johnson's Coffee House. What can I get for you?" The woman's eyes filled with tears. I don't have much money." Maya smiled. "Then today, coffee is free. Please, sit wherever you like." As Maya brought the woman the biggest cup of coffee they had, she thought about the circle of kindness. How one small act had grown into something so much bigger. How truth, when spoken loudly enough, could change everything. She thought about her great-great-grandfather Samuel, and she hoped, wherever he was, that he could see this, that he knew his name had been restored, that he knew his dream was alive again. Outside, the sun shone on the sign. Johnson's Coffee House. Not Reed's. Never Reed's again. Just Johnson's. Where it belonged. Where it had always belonged. And inside, Maya poured coffee with dignity, serving every person, rich or poor, young or old, any color, any background, with the same kindness she had once shown to an old man in a torn coat. Because that's what her great-great-grandfather would have done. That's what love looks like. That's what justice tastes like. 1 cup of coffee at a time. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about courage, justice, and the power of human kindness. Your support helps us continue telling stories that matter. Thank you for watching, and remember, one act of kindness can change everything.